Jake admits he ran away from the debate and that Daniel got slaughtered in our debate. Make this go viral. Here you go. Let's play it.
Many people will know that I was actually supposed to be one of the 2 Muslim representatives that were supposed to show up on the so-called Fresh and Fit debate with Jay Dyer and Scam Shamoon. A lot of people wondered, why did Jake back out at the last moment? And I was being accused by Christians and even Muslims as being a coward, of somebody who was backing out of the debate because I was scared to debate Scam Shamoon and Jay Dyer. It had nothing to do with me being scared whatsoever. It also had nothing to do with my illness and nothing related to that whatsoever. It had nothing to do with any family issues.
Awesome. And then can you tell them real quick about Jake? Because I know some of them were expecting Jake to come in, but you could probably explain it best.
Sure, yeah. Jake had a last-minute issue that came up, and he's not in the country, so he couldn't make it, unfortunately. But yeah, we have Brother Ijaz here to replace him, and Ijaz stepped up at the last minute, so appreciate that.
Thank you for coming, brother.
It had nothing to do with any of those things whatsoever. So why did I back out of the debate? Well, it's because of the same issues that are coming to the surface now with Daniel related to Aqidah. And I'm going to demonstrate that in just a second when I play a couple clips from that trash and filth debate.
Daniel, I want to hear from your own mouth. The Yad of Allah, is it a metaphor for his power?
It can be a metaphor for his power. It can be interpreted in many different ways. It does not contradict. It does not contradict Tawheed. It does not contradict monotheism.
Yes, it does.
You can have an Ash'ari position and interpret it as a metaphor, or you can have a Salafi Athari position and interpret it differently. That explain to me how it contradicts.
Okay, can you stop?
Tawheed. Can you explain to me? I answered your question.
No, you
didn't. How does God having a hand, however it's interpreted, contradict monotheism? Can you explain that? How does having a hand? How does a hand contradict monotheism?
Let me get to the point.
Explain it. No, you asked me a question. It's open dialogue. You asked me a question, and I answered you. Now answer my question. I answered your question. I answered your question. Now you answer my question.
What's your position?
Okay. What do you
I've studied Salafi, Athari Islam. I've studied Ash'ari Islam.
You've studied it, but you won't say your position.
What are you?
I have studied all of them. It's irrelevant to this debate. Stick to the topic. Stick to the topic.
You've studied them.
Stick to the topic. Stick to the topic. What? Explain to me. So, moderator, he doesn't let me answer the question. He doesn't let me answer the question.
No, because you're doing a dodgeball. Now,
let me answer.
You don't have to like all the answers.
This is not, you don't have to like my answer.
So, as we can see, Sam, although I hate him, he's a complete scumbag individual. The honest reality, he and Jay Dyer were actually correct. They're asking Daniel his position on Yad Allah, the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they have enough sense to know that there's a difference between the Ash'ari and Maturidi position on Yad Allah on the one hand, and the traditional Sunni position or the Athari Salafi position on the other hand. And they're pressing him. They're asking him, what is your position on Yad Allah? And Daniel says, oh, well, it can be interpreted as power, as quwwah, and which has been refuted by our scholars for quite a long time. Or it can be interpreted this way or that way. He doesn't want to give a clear answer. He doesn't want to say what his position actually is. And then they ask him more directly. And what does he say? He says, well, I've studied Salafi or Athari Islam, and I've studied Ash'ari Islam. But they're asking, what is your position, Mr. Haqiqatchu? What is your position? That's what they ask him. And what does he say? It's irrelevant to this debate. No, it's not irrelevant to this debate. And then when you ask your next question, it exposes your hypocrisy of how it is directly related to this debate. Why? Because that section of the debate was on Trinity versus Tawheed. What is your position on Tawheed? Of course it is directly related to this debate, whether you're an Ash'ari or a Maturidi or an Athari or Salafi, because there are true and significant substantive differences between those three schools. So this is intellectual honesty, where you are expected to represent your specific view, and you say it's not relevant to the debate. Well, then what is relevant to the debate at that point? And you want to say, oh, well, we're just generally representing a monotheistic view. That's what the Trinitarians claim. Nevertheless, to make the claim that it's irrelevant what your position is on the question is just completely dishonest. Of course it's relevant. That's why when I debated Jay Dyer on Trinity versus Tawheed, I didn't answer the question that way. I explained to the best of my ability, whether people agree with it or not, what my position is.
If Allah's hand is something it grabs, what is Allah's shin?
Yeah, I already responded to this question.
You got it. Moose.
Responded to it 5 times already.
What is a God-befitting foot,
Does
Jake?
it talk about a God?
Jake, I'm asking you.
Does it talk
Jake,
about a God?
what is a God? I'm asking you. What is a
Ask me a question.
God-befitting foot?
His hands are not created. Neither is his foot.
What is
which
an uncreated hand?
And I've explained what an uncreated hand is. It is that by which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can grasp things, that he can create Adam with his own 2 hands.
That's a created
exactly.
thing.
No, it's
creatures.
Not.
Those are creatures. Hands are creatures.
And so is God's knowledge. God's knowledge is created.
God's knowledge is a creature?
Yeah, that's what you believe, right? God's knowledge
We'll go
is
to
created,
the
right?
closing
I'm talking about your
statement.
position.
So we have 7-minute closings.
I don't even understand basic arguments.
7-minute closings. So what I
You're so mad, dude. You're so mad.
And I represented the Ethari or Salafi Aqidah. So it's just completely dishonest to say that it's not relevant at all to this debate. I originally was supposed to be teaming up with Daniel. We were preparing for this section of the debate, and we started discussing the strategy, and he told me directly that he did not want to defend any distinctively Ethari position in this part of the debate. He did not want to. And I told him, dude, how could I do that? I'm very openly Ethari. I criticize the other so-called creeds or Aqidas. I just had a debate with Jay himself, one of the other opponents in the debate, on Aqidah, on Trinity versus Tawheed, the same subject, and I defended the Ethari Salafi position. So how could I go into that debate and play the position of Daniel? And Daniel actually thought that, oh, it would detract from being able to attack the Trinity, and it would take too long, and we wouldn't get back to attacking their actual view. But the honest reality is, and this is what I said, and Daniel will know this, and there were other people involved with the discussion prior to this who know and were privy to what I said the exact opposite is going to happen. If you do this, it's going to be embarrassing. You're going to look terrible. They're going to beat you over the head with this and keep making the exact same point, pressing you on this, and it's going to look really bad if you're trying to obfuscate and avoid the issue and not mention what your position is and briefly attempt to defend it and then go back to the Trinity. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what I said was going to happen, and they buried you. They buried you completely on this topic. But it was clear he did not want to actually defend any distinctive position. They looked bad because they weren't able to respond to that, first of all, satisfactorily. And second of all, they weren't defending any distinctively specific Aqidah positions, and they were just hiding. They weren't answering the questions. They were obfuscating. So it was very clear. And I told them this is exactly what's going to happen. And they got slayed faithfully on Trinity versus Tawheed. And I will openly state that. And I don't care if Scam Shamoon or any of these clowns clip it because it's the reality. And I'm stating it as a fact. This is why I did not appear on the Fresh and Fit debate. I said, listen, if you don't want to defend Ethari Salafi Aqidah openly and answer these questions honestly, then I'm out of the debate. You can find another partner. Okay, but I warned him if he does this strategy, it's not going to work. So I left and he picked another partner. The problem was that Daniel wouldn't openly defend his Aqidah, so I said the hell with it. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to be some fool on this trash and filth channel. I'll let somebody else step in and let them decide. Now, I hope that's clear to my audience and Daniel's audience and even the Christian audience why I didn't appear on Trash and Filth. Unfortunately, because Daniel is someone who consistently has downplayed Aqidah and hasn't spoken about it, and probably rightly so because he hasn't studied it. He has no idea about these issues. And I know that from speaking to him privately. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. That's the honest reality.
He admit he backed down from the debate because he's afraid that if Daniel didn't agree with him on his Salafi anthropomorphism, they get slaughtered. And he told Daniel he'd get slaughtered, and they did. He just admit he lied. They all lied. But Jesus Christ exposed them. How many more proofs do you want that Jesus is Almighty, He is real, and Lord Jesus, I beseech you, in your love for me and pity, forgive me and save me and shield me from those who'd want to attack me because of my weaknesses. We trust in Lord Jesus. We fear you, Lord. Ya Allahi, Ya Khayi, Lord, do not hand me over. But the Lord exposes them.